What's going on, y'all? St. Piper here, aka Black Native. I'm feeling real good today, but I want to know how y'all doing. Good? All things working for your good? That's good, man. All things working for mine as well. Thanks for asking. Today's video is simple. Gonna be talking about veganism, what my thoughts are as far as the spiritual aspects of it, and what I believe veganism is all about. Why do I practice it? I get a lot of people ask me about veganism and the ins and outs of it, and why do I do it. So first of all, if you don't know, veganism is when you don't use, there's different levels. So you can be a vegan to the point where you don't use any products or purchase any products that come from an animal if the animal had to be abused, hurt, or taken from without the animal's permission. And permission is like shady, so like we don't really know how an animal can give you permission. So a lot of people just refrain from using it if that's their reason. Another way of being vegan is to just not eat any animal products like milk, butter, obviously the flesh of an animal, like what people call meat. Just not eating any cheese. Like basically that's another way of being vegan. And then there's different levels to where you can be a raw vegan when you don't cook anything, I think over 100 degrees, because it's like cooking the nutrients out of it and it's not really raw at that point, and different things like that. The reason I got into veganism, I think it definitely happened after I became more spiritually like awake and really started to see things for what it was, and started to read in the Bible and started to study ancient texts and look at how much information was available on veganism. And when I say look at the Bible, I'm talking about Genesis, like when Yah explains exactly what we should eat: the nuts, the fruit, the herbs. Those are the three things, and he said those, will be called our meat. Like that's meat for us. So that's food for us, basically. That's what nourishes our bodies. That's what we were designed to consume and operate off of those energies right there. So when you think about herbs, you're talking about healing. When you're thinking about fruit, you always think about manifestation and bringing forth fruit. And when you talk about nuts, seeds, you always talk about the same thing, like the bring forward like something in the future, like your children. Right? That's the same way. You think about being potent. You think about being, like basically bountiful. And I think that's really what it's all about. I got into veganism for a selfish reason, like because I want to do the right thing. I'm not perfect on my veganism journey because sometimes I like slip up. Sometimes I go into periods where I don't just eat like when I'm supposed to eat. Sometimes I do like eat like animal flesh every now and then, but it's getting to the point where it's just like repulsive. I don't want to do it. It's like I can explain it like an addiction. Like I feel as if like it's tough to let it go, and I feel addicted, because that's what I was taught. Like I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, so you eat like fish, you eat like crustaceans, shellfish, right? Down here we eat everything. Things that don't even make sense when you think about it. Like, well, I know I probably shouldn't be eating this. Like, it doesn't make sense. We still eat those things. So, that was the toughest part. That was the toughest part for me. That is the toughest part because I'm 25 years old. 20 years, 25 years old. For all my life, I was eating a wide variety of things that I choose to turn away from at this point. So that's the toughest part for me. I still I do like intervals where I go vegan, and I increase the intervals every time. So like, say for instance, if you were to go vegan for a week and you did it successfully and then you got off, then next time you go vegan, like, plan it out to where you go vegan for like 2 weeks, and then you increase it every time until the point where the desire is gone. And it usually takes you about a month scientifically, but the desire is much deeper. I believe spiritually you can be totally damaged from eating animals to the point where it takes more spiritual healing than 30 days or 31 days, because it's not just a habit, it's a way of life. Like, you eating animals is not just a habit, you know, it's a mindset. You think like a predator, you think like honestly, you think kind of like a monster, like a vulture, because you don't see, well, you are what you eat. So if you eat animals, you think like an animal, like, and that's what I'm saying. You think like you're consuming things just to survive. Doesn't that sound like a vampire? Like, doesn't that sound like a zombie? You know, whereas you consuming things that don't want to be consumed. Whereas plants and seeds and fruits, they're here for us to consume them. That's good, you know. Just don't eat the seed of a fruit. That's what the fruit protects, the seed. So the fruit doesn't mind being eaten, like the meat of a fruit, like of an orange and all of that, but like the seeds is what it protects. And we don't eat seeds normally. We usually don't eat those type of seeds, right? So that's why everything works well. Like, that's the flow of everything. That's just complete flow. Everything is living. That's a live, let live type of situation. Win, win, win. You know, look, you're a tree. You put your seed inside of a fruit. I eat the fruit. I let the seed fall out, and that seed is going to grow into another tree. And that's what you know, as a tree, that's your whole mission, is to spread and make more trees and build communities of trees and be the houses for all other living things. Like, that's what it's all about, right? So I became vegan because I got tired of, it just was something in me. Like, it was almost instinctual. Like, it's time to go vegan, because I got this thing where I want to ascend. Like, my desire is to ascend. Y'all know that. Like, I'm a black native. I'm working towards becoming a complete being, so I can ascend from this plane, like, get out of this dimension and go to the higher realms, just to be my better self. Because that's the ultimate goal, honestly. It's not to make a lot of money. It's not to be a family man. Like, those are things you do on your journey to ascend, but that's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to level up, at least for me anyway. And, you know, somewhere in it says start looking at veganism. I was an athlete training to go to the NFL. I am an athlete, and, you know, I just could not seem to shake like a certain amount of weight. Like, no matter how much I worked out, no matter how much, like, I got clean meat and stuff like that, and I ate clean, but it didn't work out. So I was like, man, I'm gonna go vegetarian. So I went vegetarian. Well, it was more closely to veganism because I already don't eat cheese. So once I cut out the meat and the cheese, like, and I usually don't eat butter either, like, I was basically vegan, but I was still eating like honey. I would put like honey on my salads and stuff, and I saw that I dropped so much weight, and I had dislocated my shoulder and I messed up my knee in high school, both of those injuries, and he stayed with me through college and into my adulthood. And I noticed that as I, you know, went closer to veganism, those pains went away. Like, I fasted from animal flesh and most animal products except for honey, right, for 14 days, and like all of the mucus in my body went away. I dropped like 10 pounds, and the shoulder pain that I was experiencing went away. the knee pain that I was experiencing went away, and it haunted me for years. I was like, what the, there's something to this, right? And I also remember this life started to slow down, and I was happier. Like, I was less moody, I was less angry. I noticed the emotional differences in myself. I was less angry, I was more patient, and I loved that feeling. I felt like life was easier and good. Life was actually good and not stressful. And I was even suspicious. I'm like, man, how come I'm not angry at that? Something, driving to the field to work out would usually make me angry, because a lot of people I felt would be driving and irritating me, But when I went vegan, it was like, it's all right, everything is good. Like, I'm gonna make it there. Once I get there, I'm gonna just do me. No matter what time I get there, as long as I get there trained, then I'll be safe and make it home. Like, that was my whole mindset behind it. So one thing I noticed was the healing. I noticed the change in my body, and I noticed that it felt right, and that the scripture in Genesis, in the book of Eden, like, the Garden of Eden, it justified that. It really, like, said straight up, like, this is what you're supposed to eat. That's before Leviticus. That's before all of this other stuff that man had an influence on. Genesis was like the original way, so that's what I believe is closer to the truth. And if you know anything about energy, yeah, the closer you are to the origin, the closer you are to reality and what's real, right? And what's actually like the design. So that's what it was. Oh, 11:56, 11:11. So I'm telling the truth, man. But yeah, veganism is a process, man. If you out here looking to go vegan, take your steps. Cut out the red meat first, or cut out the pork and then the beef, or cut out the beef and then the chicken, or just cut things out. But also, veganism is not about what you can't eat, and I think that's what causes a lot of people to suffer when considering this lifestyle. It's like, veganism is like punishment to people, because they're like, oh, it's a prison, I can't do this, I can't do that. No, look what you can do. You can experience like so many different recipes. There's a lot of cultures that eat great food without any animal flesh or animal products. Like, you will discover, like, I'm telling you, you will discover at least 10 new fruit, at least 10 new beans. Like, you notice that, wow, my diet was really restricted and limited. My phytonutrients were limited, and my proteins could be a lot more diverse than they already are. And I can actually rotate my food a lot better. And that's like something that, I didn't expect. But it takes dedication. It takes preparation, mental and spiritual preparation. Like, I pray before I go into my vegan fast. Like, I have a reason that I'm doing it besides just doing it. Like I said, my objective is to become fully vegan and to get rid of those carnal cravings. I don't like the urge to just go buy a burger. Like, I don't enjoy that urge anymore. It's just not the same. And I feel like I'm imprisoned to this body, because spiritually I don't want that, and I know it's bad for me. And it's just not part of my belief system anymore. But physically, my body is like the opposite of that, and that's causing an imbalance in myself and cognitive dissonance. And I'm past it. Like, I don't enjoy it. So that's one thing, just a little bit of transparency for like anybody who's watching this video. Like, I'm working towards becoming a vegan, but a full-time vegan. But right now I'm doing it in increments, and it's a struggle. It's not really a struggle, it's a challenge. And I like challenges. But what if you had an addiction to doing that, well, no, what if you had a routine of doing things perfectly right? Like, how good would your life be? And that's how I look at it. Like, you know, that's how I look at it. Like, man, what if I did everything right in like a routine? Like, life would be so cool, bro. Life would be so cool. Life would be so much better. I'm not vegan because, like, oh, I love the animals so much. I love animals, right? But that's not my reason for not eating them. My reason is for me. I'm selfish, like, for this. Like, I believe if you do anything for any other reason, hold on, my phone again. I believe if you do anything for any reason besides for yourself, then it could easily be compromised. But when you look at it like, I'm vegan because it's the best thing for me, and I desire to be vegan, and it's the right thing, I believe, then you cut out all of these other reasons that could be a lot weaker, like, you know, the animals, what about the animals, or the farms, they don't treat the animals right, or, all this other stuff. I do it for myself because I believe it's the right thing to do, and I believe it's going to help me gain my ascension, and I love the way it feels for my body, and my energy levels go through the roof. So that's my whole take on it. My sleep gets better. I get more prophetic dreams. I feel closer to Yah. If you look in the Bible, Samson was most likely a vegan. You know the story of Samson and Delilah. Samson was a judge. He was a Hebrew Israelite judge. He was a Nazarene. And he had so much power, but he was dedicated to be a Nazarene from birth, which means he didn't do strong drink. So no alcoholic beverages, right? No animals. He didn't eat any meat. He couldn't even go to dead bodies. So things like that. And he was just very disciplined. And my point is, part of that discipline was what he ate. And because of that, he was much stronger. It wasn't just because he was Samson. It was because of the practices that he routinely went through and the discipline that he possessed. So that's one thing you should look at. You could look at in the Bible, and he wasn't the only one. He wasn't the only Nazarene. He wasn't the only person who ate a certain way. The prophets, a lot of the priests and prophets, the reason why they could be in the temple of Yah and the other people were not able to, because the prophets ate clean, and they had certain disciplines that the rest of the Hebrews, the rest of the Israelites, the rest of the children of Yah didn't observe. So it's deep, but bottom line, it's the right thing to do in my mind. It makes me feel good, and it helps me on my ultimate goal, become an ascended master. I love y'all. Keep pushing forward. Life is good. You could tell I'm really chilling on this video, but it's just the truth. I'm kind of just rambling, but I just wanted to talk to y'all about that. Love y'all. Peace.